Morvarc'h, Breton for seahorse, is the name of a fabulous horse of Breton legend found in two folktales reworked in the 19th and 20th centuries. Though its name appears in older sources, it was invented or reinterpreted by Charles Guyot, who named it Morvarc'h in his version of the legend of the City of Wise in 1926. It belongs to the Queen of the North Malgvan, Fr., who gives it to her husband King Gradlon. Endowed with the ability to gallop on the waves, Morvarc'h is described as having a black coat and as breathing flames through its nostrils. It also appears in a Breton folktale about King March of Cornouaille. In the course of a deer hunt it is killed by its own rider's arrow, which has been turned around by the spell of Dehud, the daughter of Malgvan. She then puts the ears of the horse Morvarc'h on the head of King March, who seeks in vain to hide them. The legend of Morvarc'h being from Cornouaille in Brittany, it is the subject of equestrian statues in the town of Argyle and in St. Corentin's Cathedral in Quimper. Folklore connects it with the village of Poultry-Usick. Linked to the water like many Celtic horses, Morvarc'h reappears in more recent works composed around the legend of the drowned City of Wise, among which are novels by Gordon Zola, Fr., André Larriot, Fr., and Suzanne Salmon, Fr., and a song by Dan Arbraz. Etymology: the name Morvarc'h means seahorse or marine horse in Breton. It appears in Grégoire de Rostrenans, Fr., dictionary, published in 1732. This name causes confusion in the Breton language, because depending on the case, it can also mean walrus or whale. François Leroux, Fr., and Christian Guy and Varch translate the Morvarc'h of Charles Guyot as morse, walrus, a name they find incongruous to designate a fiery stallion. In Breton legends, the horse Morvarc'h appears in two Breton legends reworked in the 19th and 20th centuries, that of the City of Wise with Malgvan, Fr., and Gradlon, and that of March, King of Cornouaille. This name is also mentioned in Barzesbres, without any apparent link to the other two stories. Barzesbres. Théodore Hersert de la Villemarque mentions a seahorse, Morvarc'h, in the Barzesbres, 1840. This horse is a warrior symbol, as evidenced by the bard Gwynplaine in his prophecy likening it to the king. Dugan Gwynplaine. The prophecy of Gwynplaine. Miwel ar Morvarc'h keneptant. Kenagren o gond arspunt. Dalk mat ta, Morvarc'h, Darch gond heben, Darch mat ta. Darch. I see the seahorse coming to meet him, making the shore tremble with terror. Stand firm, seahorse. Strike his head, strike hard, strike. The City of Wise. Morvarc'h also figures in recent versions of the legend of the City of Wise, featuring King Gradlon, his wife Queen Malgvan, their daughter Daud and the evangelist Saint Genolé, who is trying to persuade Gradlon to put an end to the pagan machinations of his daughter. Lie wrongly attributed to Marie de France. There is a possible mention of Morvarc'h, not named, in a poem which Théodore Hersert de la Villemarque presents as dating from the 13th century. Without having a specific name, the mount of King Gralin loses its master during an attempt to escape by swimming, the master drowns, and the horse runs wild. His destrier, when he escaped him from the perilous river, grieved greatly for his master's loss. He sought again the mighty forest, yet never was at rest by night or day. No peace might he find but ever pawed he with his hoofs upon the ground, and neighed so loudly that the noise went through all the country round about. The Lay of Gralin, translated by Eugene Mason. This poem, presented by La Villemarque as a medieval lie by Marie de France, is better categorized as a Arthurian tale of courtly love. Morvarc'h in Charles Guyot's text. Contrary to popular belief, our detailed picture of Morvarc'h, here named Morvarc'h, comes mostly from a modern reworking of the legend, written by Charles Guyot in 1926, which is clearly influenced by the Romantics of 19th century. The legend is not fixed, and many hagiographized and folklorized versions circulate. According to the Celticists François Leroux and Christian Joseph Guy and Varch, this constitutes a catastrophe for legend and seriously complicates the search for elements deriving from Celtic sources. Indeed, according to Thierry Gigerl, Fr., this horse is an invention of Charles Guyot. Note 1. In the version of Guyot's The Legend of the City of Wise published in 1926 by H. Piazza, this horse is a supernatural mount worthy of a god, born of a siren and an undine, offered by the genii of the sea to King Harold, aging husband of Malgvan. However, only Queen Malgvan can tame it. It is described as black, crosses the ramparts without reins or bridle as easily as the hedge of an orchard, and flies over the frothy sea. Malgvan calls him the horse of the night. During the war expedition, King Gradlon of Cornouaille is abandoned by his army, while he besieges a fortress built by the side of a fjord. Left alone and pacing the foot of the ramparts to find a way to enter, one evening he meets a woman who seems to wait for him. This is Malgvan, the Queen of the North, who tells him that she has observed him since the beginning of the siege and that she loves him. Note 2. She enables him to enter the citadel and leads him to the royal chamber where her husband sleeps. Gradlon kills him and seizes the treasure. To return to Cornouaille he mounts an enchanted horse, Morvarc'h, who can run on the ocean, and rides him with Malgvin. At the end of a day's ride, the lovers join the Breton fleet. A year elapses before they return to Brittany, then Malgvin dies giving birth to a girl, Dehud. On the death of his mistress, Morvarc'h emits a whinny as mournful as a human sob and begins to weep. After Malgvin's death it is King Gradlon who rides him, while his daughter Dahud has a flame-colored hackney. The horse reappears during the flooding of the city. Morvarc'h, the gallant steed, swam tirelessly shoreward, through flooded crossroads, through streets and torrents, he galloped, lighter than air. Gradlon carries his daughter on Morvarc'h, but, barely does he stay on the horse, the latter bends as if three heavily armed men were riding it, then the ocean reaches it, embraces it, suddenly reaches as far as its hocks, and Gradlon feels his knees cold, his fingers grasping Morvarc'h's mane. The noble animal strikes the sea with its powerful hooves, his chest boldly divides the swell, like the bow of a ship under the steady pull of the oars, it neighs with pride and rage, and raising its double burden, shakes its wet mane. Meanwhile the water licks its sweating flanks, penetrates into its smoking nostrils, it engulfs the riders to the waist. When Morvarc'h is about to sink into the waves, Genouaille touches Dahud's shoulder with the tip of his staff and drops it into the water, allowing Morvarc'h to rise to the surface. March to Cornouaille. In a tale collected in the valley of the Aulne by Jan Arfloch, Fr., in 1905, Morvarc'h is also the name of the fabulous horse that belongs to another king. March to Polemarch, or Portsmarch, Plomarch, near Douarnenez. Passionate about hunting, the king fails to catch a doe on his fabulous horse. Only on the edge of the cliff, near where Wise was sunk, is he facing her. He aims his bow and shoots an arrow that magically turns around and kills his horse. He rushes to the doe to finish it with his dagger, but she has disappeared and in her place is a beautiful girl. It is Dehud, the daughter of Gradlon and Malgvin. Before returning to the sea, she affixes horse's ears to March. He tries to hide this, and in the process he kills all the barbers of the kingdom who discover his secret until there remains only one, whom he tells to say nothing, under pain of death. The barber cannot hold his peace any longer, and divulges to a handful of reeds that King March has the ears of the horse Morvarc'h. The reeds are harvested and bagpipes are made from them, but in a burst of music the bagpipes reveal the king's secret, making the whole kingdom of Brittany aware. Jan Breukelen adds that this horse is silver-shoed, and runs so lightly that his feet do not leave marks on the moor. Analysis. The horse Morvarc'h is an indispensable adjunct in the story of the legend of the City of Wise. Like many other horses of Breton legend, it is linked, etymologically and symbolically, to water and the sea. Stories of horses crossing the sea, often having some of the characteristics of psychopomps, exist in Celtic mythology, and there are many instances in popular Celtic traditions of maleficent horses who come from the water. The horse competes with the boat of Charon, the ferryman of the dead, in this role of psychopomp crossing the water. For the esoteric author Robert Jacques Thibault, who cites Morvarc'h as the first example, the horse represents the primordial ocean. The storyteller Jan Breukelen identifies the horse of Gradlon with that of King March, and describes it as having a black mane and as galloping as well on water as on land. For Gael Milan, Fr., although the tale of King March is often close to that of King Midas with his donkey ears, note 3, the analogy stops there since the equine ears of March are probably a mark of the legitimacy of his sovereignty. This trope of the horse ears appears from the 12th century in a work of Beroul, The Romance of Tristan. Morvarc'h supposedly left a hoofprint in the municipality of Poldriusic. According to Pierre Jacques Helius, the horse would have stepped on shore coming out of the water with Gradlon on his back, after the drowning of the City of Wise. In the visual arts, the first possible representations of Morvarc'h are ancient, there having been a lead statue from the 15th century of Gradlon on his horse between the two spires of St. Corentin Cathedral in Quimper. Note 4, it was destroyed by the sans-culottes on December 12, 1793, during the French Revolution, with other art objects considered royalist. A new statue, this time in granite, designed by the architect Joseph Bigot, was based on a fragment of the old one. It was created by the sculptors Amédée Menard and Lebrun, and was placed in the same spot as the old one in 1858. Morvarc'h also appears on a painting by Évariste Vidal-Lumini's, The Flight of King Gradlon, painted around 1884 and kept at the Musée des Beaux-Arts de Quimper. This painting itself inspired another equestrian sculpture in granite, made by Patrigar Gornig, in the municipality of Argyle. It represents the horse Morvarc'h ridden by Gradlon. On each side of the statue is a version of the legend of the City of Wise, a pagan and a Christian. The Christian version is the one that is most commonly told, The pagan version has Daud managing to flee with her son on the back of Morvarc'h, while Gradlan is in the water and shouts to his daughter to stay with him. Another equestrian statue stands on the pediment of the triumphal arch of the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul in Argyle. The poet Arthur Rimbaud parodied the legend in one of his letters, with a drawing titled The Sledge, in which Malgvan is riding a sledge pulled by a schoolboy who fears he might see it overturn. In literature and music, the horse Morvarc'h has made appearances in various novels, and also in music. Danar Braz gave the title Morvarc'h, Cheval de la Mer, to the sixth track of his 1977 album Du Arnebe. Novels which include The Legend of the City of Wise are mostly pseudo-historical tributes to the legends of Brittany. Morvarc'h gives its name to André Illiterates, Fr. book, Morvarc'h Cheval de Mer, 1999, reissued 2011, which tells of the travels of Philippe, a Parisian who discovers the wonders of Celtic legend. It is mentioned in Gordon Zola's, Fr. parody, La Derive des Incontinents, having no boat at their disposal. Gralin the Breton and Malgvan Stolen rode off on Morvarc'h, the magic horse of the queen. Morvarc'h, which is to the sea what the Morbarc'h is to fleece, means sea horse. It was a beautiful marine steed, as black as the bottom of a moonless night and endowed with nostrils that spit fire. It is found in Ce Soir à Cornibis, a novel by Suzanne Salmon, Fr., where 6 holidaymakers practice spiritualism and contact the spirit of Daud, one of them being a reincarnation of King Gradlan.